Hello, I figured it was time for another amazing tutorial video for the arts, and today we shall talk about movement. Movements are something you do on a daily basis, so it's best to know what to actually draw for movement. So let's get on the drawing board and do some movement. Yeah. Movement. So, what do you use to draw movement? This is one of the things that are usually used. Forget this, there is only one thing to do with this thing, and it's that. Yeah, go away. Nobody loves you. What you will really need is some paper, some other people maybe, and the reason is that you're very bendable and these things aren't, or way too much. So let's start. You do remember the basic lines. But let's simplify it like this. Essentially, this is just a stickman. I'm not really sticking to proper proportions because this is just about movement and we don't want to be stopped in our movement. So, there are a few things. This is not a natural pose for anybody. Even if you stand still, there will be a tiny little bit of movement normally. So, first trick. This line is the important one. This one is the other important one. For these are your shoulders and these are your hips, and they often work kind of together. So if you're walking, it will go first like this and then like this. Of course, I'm making a little bit exaggerated, but you get the drift. So that means that somebody was walking from up front. Let's see, up. I will do a slightly exaggerated pose. Because it's more fun this way. Yes. Look at him merrily strolling through the fields. He's a happy man. I shall call him Frederick. Frederick the happy man. He's happy. Right. So, see, that is, you have here the hips in one direction, the shoulders in the other one. And it will often work together like that. Now that's one thing you have to remember about movement is hips and shoulders. So that was part one. Part the second. How to see the movement? Well, there is a very simple. Hey, that was a water bottle just falling. Yeah, that's normal. Okay, a simple trick I've seen used for cartoons is you draw one line or two. Let's say two because we're fancy today. So we have these two lines and it has to be curves, and if you align stuff to the curve, oh my god, it starts to move. Alright, let's do it like this because it's starting to look a little Jesus Christy. This is an adjective I invented right now. So, see, movement. Two simple lines, one there, and this will be very useful for basically any action pose. Punching somebody, well, if you just go without it and say punching, This doesn't look like a punch. This is somebody doing some Tai Chi. And Tai Chi, as you know, is the fastest of sports. I don't like Tai Chi. So, solution. 2 lines. And you have to kind of feel where the energy goes. So it goes in here and forward. Because you punch, if you use your weight to punch, you will punch so much more power. Lift a leg. Yes, you could punch a god like that. Yes. So this is the other trick to remember. Use lines like this. The other one that's kind of well, about these lines. Essentially, if you look here, the line is something like this, and kind of wobbly lines going like these are showing that you're either not moving or wobbling about, which can be useful if you have somebody who's drunk and, I don't know, he's up. Here you, yeah, wonderful dance of drunkenness. But these are not really action poses, so you have to see what you want to do. Action poses, non-action poses, blah blah blah. Well, action. So, but we're talking about movement today. Waves are useful for this curves, yes. So we have this. And then there is another one that's kind of useful, a little technique, which is silhouettes, essentially. You can do it by, let's zoom a little bit in here, will you? Yeah. Oh. Yes, autofocus, you're working. Goodbye. So, you can just do like little silhouettes like these. And essentially, if you see the movement working as a tiny little silhouette, it will work on a big person, but it might look very cartoony. And so this is one pose, see, and let's say this arm goes in front of him, this one behind him, crossing the legs. See, there is no dynamism, it doesn't work. And now let's go the other way. This arm goes up, this one goes down. Same. Yeah, you see, it's essentially the same move he's doing. But here it's much more expressive because you can see all the legs and the arms. And that is kind of a very useful trick if you're showing movement. So showing somebody running from up front is actually it's doable. Yeah, see? It's actually possible to do that. But you have to remember the hips and the shoulders and try to differentiate between limbs to give it a more dramatic feel. So these are a few of the, well, pretty much all the basic tricks I use. The most important one might still be draw people. Many people try to get a feeling for where the forces go when they move. For instance, if somebody is walking, okay, the lines. Let's zoom a little back. This is somebody who's standing still. This is somebody who's going at a slow pace. And this is somebody going, very fast. You see, the more inclined you are up to the front, the faster you go. This is because of a very simple reason. We are using what is called dynamic equilibrium. So I wanted to do a little demonstration where I put my pencil on my hand and moved it around so that it doesn't fall, but I'm not very good at this because the pencil is way too small. Well, anyway, yeah, we are using dynamic equilibrium, which means that if you were to stop in midst your walk cycle, you would keel over. Which is why it is so easy to make people fall over when they're walking. Not that I ever tried that, of course! No, don't do that, it's not very nice to do. So many people tried it with me, but I do have a very efficient dynamic equilibrium. Yes. And we move essentially, you know this. We go, our weight goes a little on one feet and on the other feet when we walk, and our body moves accordingly. We are constantly moving when we are walking, because otherwise we would just keel over. Some animals do use passive equilibrium, which is a bit different because your center of gravity doesn't really move. So it is a case of spiders and insects. Because I have so many legs that I always have legs around their equilibrium. Their center of gravity. So this is something to remember. Center of gravity. You just have to remember the gravity of the situation. Yes. Right. And practice! That was all for today. Have a nice day. Practice, 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 practice. And next time we will talk about hands.